Blue Jackets are ready to check out of the Hotel California as they finish a perfect 3 if you consider losses to be the thing that you want. We're going to talk about the game in San Jose and more about Jack Roslovic and the newest rookies in the Blue Jackets lineup, Kent Johnson and Nick Blankenberg. We're going to talk about all of that and more on today's Locked on Blue Jackets.
For Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. All of the props, odds, and lines that you can imagine, and more. BetOnline has you covered because BetOnline is where the game starts. Now, today, the game starts. Well, the game started last night, and it was bad. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen or first watch of the day. Locked on Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and also on YouTube. So wherever you consume your sports content, Locked on Blue Jackets is there. Now, Blue Jackets lost 3-2 in San Jose to finish 0-3 in the California road trip swing. Not great. I do think that it was a better game than the Ducks. I think it was a worse game than the Kings. But let's take a look at the game and then we'll go from there. Because the Blue Jackets decided to do that thing they do occasionally where they just forget that the game started. Very, very poor first period. They allowed 3 goals. Scott Reedy, who is extremely handsome, scored his 4th goal of the season. Rudolph Balcers scored his 11th of the season, and Scott Reedy scored again his 5th of the season, and that is all in the first 18 minutes of the game, which is not great, honestly. Just a really, really poor period from the Blue Jackets. Elvis needed to be better. Honestly, they were outshot 12-7 by the San Jose Sharks, who hate offense, taking shots, goals, and they managed to score 3 goals. One of them was even a power play goal. Because, I don't know, there's only so many ways you can find a new way to say, man, this team is bad at killing penalties, but here they are doing new things to disappoint me every single game. Elvis allowed 3 goals on his first 12 shots of the game. In fairness, he was then perfect for his last 16 shots of the game. He didn't allow a goal in the second or third period. Jackets tried to battle back. The second period existed, I guess. Shots were 10-8 in the Blue Jackets' favor, and then Jack Roslovic scored twice in the third period, once on the power play with a Kent Johnson secondary assist. So we're going to talk about that in a minute because first NHL point for Kent Johnson. Jack Roslovic scored on the power play, and then he scored even strength again to make it 3-2 with 13. Well, at the 13.5-minute mark of the third period, but the Blue Jackets could not find the equalizer. They also didn't allow an empty net goal. So, I guess you win some, you lose some, but definitely in the case of the Blue Jackets, you lose more than you win. Really, really good to see Jack Roslovic continue this hot streak that he's on. That is, I believe, 7 goals in his last 6 games. Granted, he only scored in 3 of those games. He had a hat-trick, and then a 2-goal night, and then nothing for 3 games, and then another 2 goals. He's up to 19 on the season, which continues to be a career high, I believe. This would be, if he manages to score 1 more goal this season, that would be his first career 20-goal season. I may, in fact, be wrong about that. Let's take a look. He's sneaking all the way up. He's 41 points on the season, which is a career high for him. by quite a bit. This would in fact be his first career 20-goal season. The most goals he has scored was 12. He scored them in the 1920 season with Winnipeg before it shut down, and then he scored in the after the trade. He played 40 games with Columbus in the 2021 season and scored 12 goals then. So 19 goals in 76 games, 41 points. He has really kind of stepped up in the past maybe kind of couple of weeks, which is ideal, really. The Jackets have been, I think it's been well documented in this podcast, but also literally everywhere. The Blue Jackets desperately need centers, and centers that are effective, centers that could contribute to the offense. And Jack Roslovic may not be very good at doing the defensive part of being a center, but I don't necessarily think that every center has to be a two-way guy. He has been really very good. He has played well on all of the lines that he's on. I believe he is sharing a line with Oliver Bjorkstrand and Voracek at the minute, which again is really fun to see. And he's being rewarded. He's contributing to the offense, obviously without Patrick Laine, who missed the Ducks game and missed last night's game against San Jose. Zach Werenski left the game very, very early against Anaheim, did not play in San Jose. Both of those guys are day-to-day. Hopefully back soon. But when you're missing your best goal scorer and your best defenseman, then guys have to step up. And Jack Roslovic was like, yeah, you know what? I will be that guy that steps up. And someone else that stepped up, Jake Bean, was very good in Anaheim. Scored 2 goals, had a secondary assist against San Jose. And speaking of secondary assists, we're going to talk about that in a minute because somebody got his first ever secondary assist last night, and that is Kent Johnson. And that is what we're going to talk about in a minute. But first, I want to tell you about BetOnline, because if you had put money on Kent Johnson getting a point last night, you would have made some money, and you would have done that at betonline.net, which is your number one source for all your betting stats and sport information. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. They've got boxing, they've got UFC, they've got your favorite casino games. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action, because BetOnline is where the game starts. And the game started poorly, but got better as it went on, I thought, and in part because of Jack Roslovic, but also in part because Kent Johnson scored his first NHL point on the power play, no less. Yes, it was a secondary assist, but it was a really nice pass, I thought. Obviously, he is, I don't believe he's the last of the Michigan boys. He might be the last of the Michigan boys to score a point this season, of the guys that signed in the past kind of couple of weeks, minus Brent Brisson, who is obviously still down in Henderson. So, he's ahead of him still, but it was really good to see him get a point. I think he's quietly been very solid. I think Nick Blankenburg has had a steadier NHL debut the past few games, honestly, but I think once Kent Johnson figures it out, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and you can see him slowly starting to figure it out. His ice time went up again. He was 16 and a half minutes last night. He had 10 minutes in his debut, and between 12 and 14 in his the games of the weekend, the Kings and the Ducks, obviously. Patrick Laine out and Kent Johnson playing the same position of left wing. He was on the top line last night, played a lot of minutes, and was pretty good. Didn't have a shot on goal, had 2 hits, and was a dead even on the night, which, when you got outscored 2-1 in even strength, I think that's, it could be worse. So really good to see him get his first point, though. Hopefully he follows that up with a goal sometime soon. Nick Blankenburg obviously got his first point in the game against Montreal, I believe, his debut, which was super fun and exciting. But like I said, really good to see Kent Johnson start to figure it out, start to get better. You can see, and we talked about this in an episode earlier this week, actually. If you have not listened to my chat with Tony Ferrari, prospect expert, everyone's favorite bald draft analyst, which I believe is actually his Twitter bio. That's not me being mean about how he is bald. Talks a little bit about how you can see him figuring out that he can't do things that he could do in college, and you can see him thinking about it, and you can see him correcting and like starting to make different decisions, which is a lot of fun. You can see him making those passes that we expected, and I don't think he is going to be a huge goal scorer. He's not going to be, Patrick Laine and all Bjorkstrand type winger, but like we talked about with Tony Ferrari, he can pass the puck to basically anyone and, tab it, be tape to tape, which is a lot of fun. It's something that I think the Blue Jackets haven't really had. Like, obviously, Jake Voracek is the best playmaker on the team by a lot. He's up to 51 assists on the season, by the way, which I believe keeps him fourth all-time in a Blue Jackets uniform for most assists in a single season. We'll keep an eye on that record as he continues to make more and more passes, but I think that's, if we could get a Voracek out of Kent Johnson, I would be extremely pleased. I'd want probably more goals. I think he can score goals. I don't think he's all playmaking by any means, but you kind of saw that a little bit this season at Michigan. He took a step back from the goal scoring, started to become more of a playmaker, partially because he had, Matty Beniers and Brendan Brisson on his line, and I think that's probably what we'll kind of see when he settles into the NHL. We'll see his playmaking ability really kind of be one of his most dangerous tools. Put him on a line with, like we said, with Tony Ferrari. Put him on a line with Cole Sillinger. That's what I want. Put a guy that could do the defense on the other wing, an elite transition guy like Oliver Bjorkstrand or potentially Jake Voracek, and just kind of watch them go. That's my biggest wish for next season, I think, is I would like one more center at least, and I would like a Kent Johnson Cole Sillinger combo with another winger, and I think that would be a lot of fun. That's what I would like to see. Get on it, Yamo. That is what I would like. I'm not asking for you to move the world or move mountains or change the orbit of the moon or whatever it is that people ask impossible things of, but I would like to see those two get a chance together because I think it could be something really special. It could be something really fun. So we'll have to see. I think this next 5 games that the Blue Jackets have left, I think is going to be fun and interesting, and I think we are going to see Kent Johnson get more and more responsibility. The Blue Jackets have very little to play for at this moment in time beyond potentially a better draft position, but I think it would be stupid to not play Kent Johnson basically as much as you can because you want to see what you have in him. Similar with Blankenburg, you want to see what you have with him. I don't believe the Blue Jackets will get anyone else from free agency or college or whatever in the next 5 games. The season has like a week and a half left. I think this is the roster that the season is going to end with. And I don't why wouldn't you see what you have with those guys? So I'm super excited to see how long of a leash Kent Johnson gets. I think it's probably going to be pretty long with Brad Larson. I do not think he would have had this much freedom with John Tortorella, which I think is probably for the best that he's not here anymore because the Blue Jackets are skewing younger, more exciting, more offensive, all of the things that John Tortorella hates. And I think Johnson is all of those things, and I'm excited for him to, like I keep saying, figure it out. Speaking of guys that have figured it out, I wanted to talk a little bit about Gus Nyquist, who did not get a point in the game last night, but has very quietly been very, very good this season. Much better than I personally was expecting. So we're going to talk about Gus Nyquist in a minute. First, I'm going to tell you about rockauto.com because the cars keep increasing. There's more makes and models than ever before, and it's basically impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all of the parts that you need for every single make and model of car or truck. You have to go in and endure pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning. You have to wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand that their warehouse happens to carry. You've got to leave your car there. You've got to wait for the part to come in. You've got to pay for labor. You've got to take your car back. And it's a whole shenanigan. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket, so just stay on the couch. You can save time and money when using Rock Auto, and they are a family business serving DIYers online for over 20 years. Reliably low prices, whether you are a DIY or a professional, and they have everything you could need. They've got brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even things like new carpet. If you could put it on in your car or truck, rockauto.com probably sells it. So go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, locked on in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliable low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. So I said we were going to talk about Gus Nyquist, and we are. I just looked up where he is in team scoring, and he's fourth on the team in points, which, again, surprised me. And I feel like we talked about this a little bit yesterday, of how he's very quietly been quite good for this team. I didn't think he was that high. He's got more points than Zach Werenski. He's got more points than Boone Jenner. The only people on the team with more points than him is Patrick Laine with 56, Igor Voracek also with 56, and Oliver Bjorkstrand, who had his first 50-point season this season. So Gus Nyquist has 48 points on the season, 17 goals, 31 assists. He just had a point streak snapped. He had points in at least his last 4 games. Points in his last 4 games. Points in 5 of his last 7. You know, he's been consistent, I think, is the word. I don't think he's been, world-changingly good, which I don't think is what you get when you sign Gus Nyquist as a free agent. His contract is up this season, I believe, so I'll be interested to see, does he resign? Does he go somewhere else? I would not be mad about him resigning with the Blue Jackets. I think they need some veteran presence like that. Obviously, they're going to keep getting younger, and the Blue Jackets need at least one adult, because Jake Voracek cannot be the adult. So they need a Gus Nyquist to... he has one more season left after this. I am wrong. But my point still remains. I think you want to keep a guy like Gus Nyquist. I don't think you should sign him potentially to the $5.5 million contract that he's earning a minute, especially considering he will be, I think, 34 when this contract is up. But if you can get him for, maybe 2 or 3 million for maybe 1 or 2 more years, then I think that's an extension that you do. He's probably not going to be a top 6 guy forever, but he will be, I think, really good to bridge that gap between like the current roster and the next roster. So, while Kent Johnson gets up to speed, Kirill Marchenko is probably going to be turning up at some point in the off season or next season, like, to bridge the gap between the old guard and the new guys. I think a guy like Gus Nyquist is perfect, because he's not the game breaker, but he has been, again, about 4 times in the past minute and a half, quietly good, quietly consistent. 48 points in 77 games. He's, I believe, one of only 2 players that have played every game so far this season. I'm going to knock on wood, because I don't want him to die and immediately miss a game. The other guy, I think, is Andrew Peak. Those are the only 2 guys that have played in all 77 of the Blue Jackets games this season. Like I said, 48 points in 77 games is not too shabby, in my opinion, especially for a pretty solid middle 6 guy. He really kind of found success over the past couple of weeks on that line with Laine and Jack Roslovic. I think that was a really good line, a fun line. Obviously, Laine is out injured, but it was good. It provided a little bit of stability to Laine's just kind of chaotic nature. Jack Roslovic, I think, tries, but he's really kind of there as a guy to bridge the gap between those 2 players. But Gus Nyquist slows the line down, not in a bad way, because he's surprisingly speedy, and I don't think he makes the game slower, but he creates more space I guess is the phrasing that I want to use. He slows everyone else down by speeding up his own game, I think. I feel like that's not making a lot of sense, but I know what I mean, and hopefully all of you do as well. I think he's been really, really good on that line. And I'm excited to see how strong he finishes. It would be super cool to see him finish with 50 points. The last time he did that was in 2014-2015 with Detroit. His career high is 54, so he is currently 6 points off of it. 5 games left. It's doable. He could hit a career high. He has kind of slowly swung towards more assists than goals. He started out with his first full season in Detroit. He had almost 30 goals. He had 28, and then it's kind of gone down 27, 17, 12. Had a little uptick, 21, 16, only 6 games, only 6 goals in the 2018-2019 season. 15 goals last year, or the last season he played. Obviously, he missed the entirety of last season with the shoulder injury, and then he's up to 17 goals this season. So it would be neat to see if he could get a 4th 20-goal season, but I'm not looking out for that. Especially, he's a really good supporting cast player of the team, I think, which is something that teams need, because you can't have every single player be a game-breaking star, or you can't have a team of 23 Patrick Laine. As cool and chaotic and fun as that would be, you need guys like Gus Nyquist, and I think he has been playing that role perfectly this season and being rewarded for it handsomely. I don't know if he still leads the league in short-handed goals. He did for a while, which was extremely fun. Let's see. He leads the team in short-handed goals with 4. The only player that has more than him is Trevor Moore with 5. He shares second place with a bunch of guys. Alex Barkov, Isaac Lundstrom, Ilya Mikheyev all have 4 short-handed goals. Alex Formenton. So, he of his 17 goals, I think literally a quarter of them are short-handed goals, which is extremely funny. But hopefully he keeps this up. Hopefully he is still around next season. I imagine he will be. I don't think he's going anywhere. But shout out to Gus Nyquist is the conclusion of this episode. He's been real good, and just a really pleasant surprise to look at the stats and be like, oh, hey, Gus Nyquist. In a season of kind of up and downs, and more downs than ups, honestly, in a season of guys that you thought were going to be good, maybe being not disappointing, but less good than you thought you were going to be, and some pleasant surprises. Gus Nyquist has definitely been one of the pleasant surprises, in my opinion. And that's kind of what I've got for you today. Tomorrow, we will take a look at the upcoming game against Ottawa. The Blue Jackets are playing Ottawa on Friday night. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And hopefully the Blue Jackets can snap this losing streak that they're on. It's only a 3-game losing streak, but I would like us to, and Ottawa is less terrifying than California. So fingers crossed. Thank you all for listening. I've been Jay Foster, hoping that you have enjoyed your first listen or your first watch of the day. I know it's 3 p.m. Eastern as I'm recording. This is not your first listen or your first watch, but thank you anyway for listening, watching, enjoying, liking, subscribing, commenting, etc. If you would like more nonsense opinions, you can find me over at _Jacob Foster on Twitter, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the podcast Twitter at LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com, or just, leave something nice in the comment section below. And I will see you all tomorrow. But until then, make sure you stay locked on.